think of this as roots.
Yeah.
This is your history for all posterity.
Mhm.
Are you on?
See a couple of
Oh.
monkeys?
You see Tori snuggled in there?
You see the baby too. Just the baby small. Growling. Growling about. She knows she was supposed to be up here without that shield.
Wow. She's not objecting too much.
Mm-mm.
Not covering this.
Yeah, she is.
Tell her. Up there.
Well, basically, if we start when you were both real little, some of the earliest things you remember, it's thinking, oh my, just some of just what your life was like, just some of the things that you remember with your brother or your brothers and sisters, just how things were different back then. Your chores, your going to school.
A lot different.
I lived right in this neighborhood.
That's
I
right.
lived right in this neighborhood.
I used to have
Is
to
that
come
on?
home and
Uh-huh.
carry in wood and cobs for the next morning. Go get the cow, swap the hog.
Wow.
Walk to school.
Yeah.
That's what they don't do now.
No.
That 2
See,
miles
I-
walk to school.
I lived in the same house when I was 3 and 4 years old.
Which this
This one.
one.
And I was born right across the street.
Were you born in the one that Grandma was in?
No,
Yeah.
where Macklins lived. Across the street. And I lived in this one. And the funniest thing I can remember this. You think you remember, or
Yeah.
you remember them telling you about it. But then we didn't have electricity and didn't have running water. And at night, when our feet would be dirty, we'd have to wash our feet before we went to bed. And Mom would put a washpan down. We had to wash our feet before we went to bed. And I had a little lamp. And she put it down beside me and told me to wash my feet, and I wouldn't do it. So she spanked me and told me to wash my feet, and I wouldn't do it. And she usually, when she spanked me, she cried as much as I cried,
Oh.
because I was crying. But I wouldn't wash my feet. So she said, Dad, she won't wash her feet. Come make her wash her feet. And he said, come on, sis, and wash your feet. So I put my feet in the water and washed them. Mom said she had to start all over again. Yeah. You think you remember things like that, but maybe I just remember because they told me. 'Cause 3 or 4, you might remember it, I guess.
I remember something I was 3.
Really?
I remember when, I don't remember when my brother died, but I remember going to the funeral, but I didn't know what it was all about. I
Is
just
it?
remember walking in out there with a dad's hand.
Wow. Now, how old would you have been?
3.
Gosh.
I remember going to Sunday school there. I remember my first Sunday school teacher.
Wow.
Of course, the church is different now. That's old and burnt down and built new.
This whole end of town was boys when I was growing up, and I was the only girl, and I had to climb as high as they climbed and jump as far as they jumped to keep up with them. And we lived, and Aunt Nina lived right back of this house over here. And there was 2 sheds, and there was, 1.5 feet maybe so between the sheds. And the boys thought they'd get away from me because they'd climb up on that shed and jump across. And all of us got across, and I jumped next to last, and I made it. And Gene France, my cousin who was a year older, jumped right behind me, and he fell off and fell in between, broke his arm. He never did live that down.
I bet not.
But I had to be tough because I was raised
I
on all
remember
boys.
World War II. World War I ended.
Really?
I remember all the church bells are ringing. That's World War I.
And what year was that?
I think it's 17, wasn't it?
17, yeah. Well, I wouldn't remember that.
No.
1918, wasn't it?
Well,
Was it?
could have been. I don't know.
Oh, gosh.
I was 3 or 4 years old for sure.
Now, you moved around from
Oh,
place to place?
Yes.
Is that right?
We used to move about every year.
Really?
I can remember we used to and I don't know why you moved so much. It just seemed like we'd find another house and we'd move. We've lived all over this town.
Huh.
Back in the old days, they rented farms, maybe 2 or 3 years. It was a different farm.
Is that right?
Bigger one or smaller or like
Huh.
Do you remember when we moved here, David? You don't remember.
No.
they went to
Now,
the
you
same
had your
school
second
2 or 3
birthday here.
times, 2 or 3 years, go to a different school.
Yes.
Steve might remember when we moved here, because you had your second birthday here, so he would have been about 4, so he'd probably remember.
I doubt it.
I bet he does.
No, I don't remember.
If you were under 2, you might have.
No, he probably wouldn't. No, because we moved here in the fall,
49.
49. That's been a day or two.
A little bit. What was school like for both of you back then?
Well, that's all kind of school I knew. I never went to school.
Of course, he went to country school.
Country school?
Yeah.
One-room school?
I went to school.
I went right across over here to grade school.
About, well, from first to 8th grade, yeah. One
Probably,
teacher.
probably half the kids in your school were your brothers and sisters, weren't they?
No,
No, they were.
15, 20. You work, you study.
Yeah, that's neat.
I always liked school, and I did a lot
I hated
of,
school.
did a lot of, I don't know, I guess you'd call it dramatics, dramatic readings and humorous readings, and, you know, like kids go to places now for singers and stuff like that. I took a lot of awards for dramatic readings and humorous readings and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. You didn't know
I
that.
went someplace, I can't remember where we went, I did the Gettysburg Address one time. Oh, that's a lot.
Yes. Well, that's neat.
They go to judging contest for grain. Judge Green go to the town. You know,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
I do that pretty good.
What did you have to do? The quality of
Well,
it?
they have all different kind of grain. They put to be the best and all this, you know.
Huh.
Tell with the looks of it. With the shining energy. Check it out.
We lived down by, well, there was a depot then, down north of the bank. You know, that street
Okay,
down north
yeah.
of the bank, there was a depot down there, and we lived down there for a long time. About as long as any place, one place we lived. And my cousin lived about a block from us, and we were just, you know, in and out of each other's houses, about like sisters. And I can always remember, I was 8th grade there. I know I lived there when I was in 8th grade. But there was a lot of bums, you know, on the trains, freight trains. And that's why I'm afraid today, because you didn't trust those bums. And Mom always said, you know, don't ever talk to anybody you don't know. And at night, there was always freight cars parked along there. Well, bums would stay in those freight cars.
Oh, gosh.
And so I could never walk home at night by myself. And I think that's started because I'm still afraid at night when it gets dark. And I think that's one reason why, because, they'd come to the house and ask for food, you know, and just people that were traveling, men, not women,
Yeah.
men that were traveling around, didn't have any place to live,
Wow.
right on the freight trains. Of course, there isn't even a train here now.
Hmm. Now, your dad worked for the railroad for a while,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Several years.
And what?
He worked, he got bumped, they call it bumped, you know, the guy ahead of you can bump you off. And he got bumped to, let's see, the Depression was in 33, wasn't it?
29 to 30.
It was about,
In the 30s.
about in 30, no, 32 or 33, he got bumped off. Because he didn't have a job for ages.
Hmm.
I know we used to come back over here at the end of the street. A guy'd go and get a whole great big truckload of bread. We could buy it for a nickel a loaf.
Wow.
And whenever he'd come, we'd go and buy whole bunches of bread and second day rolls and stuff like that for a nickel. Had to really do all you could on a nickel then, of
You know
course.
what overalls cost then back in the 30s?
No.
50 cents.
You're kidding.
High school at that time, J.C. Penney buy a pair of overalls 50 cents.
Oh, my gosh.
I never had a button dress or coat. Mom always made everything of mine.
Wow.
First button coat I had, I was a senior in high school. And it was the ugliest thing, and I thought it was so beautiful.
Oh.
It was green.
Oh,
I thought it was beautiful, but I remember now how ugly it was.
oh, God.
You go out and check corn for 2 cents a bushel.
A bushel. Wow.
Of course, I was always one, I don't know whether it was circulation, I don't know what they would call it now, but I could never stand up in one spot without fainting. And Mom always made me stand up to hem my dresses, stand up on a chair and turn around, to hem my dresses. And I never could stand up very long. And then when she cut my hair, she'd always make me stand up to get my hair cut. Well, I'd just pass out. She thought I was putting it on, but I couldn't do it. And I still can't today. I can't stand in one spot with my head down or, like that. Something about it, but I can remember that. We used to go to Grandma Leonard's. She lived about 5 or 6 blocks, and Mom and I'd start out together, and she'd get farther and farther away from me, and I'd get so tired my legs just wouldn't carry me. I was only about 4, 5, 6 in maybe then. And Mom would get to Grandma's, and I wouldn't be with her, and she'd come back, and I'd be laying in the alley. She just didn't make it. She'd have to pick me up. I don't know what that was, but I can remember doing that.
Gosh. Did your mom use the flour sack material a lot for clothes then, or when did that start?
No,
That
that
started during
didn't
the
start
war.
till
Oh.
when David and Steve were kids. I made them a lot of sunsuits and things out of flour sack material.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. Probably could buy a yard of material for little nothing.
Didn't you say you had a dress to wear to school during the week and then one on Sunday?
You know. I came home from school and took it off and put it back on and wore it the next day.
Oh, I got hand-me-down, made down for the boys' old clothes.
Yeah.
Because I had a suit I got big enough to get out and work. I got myself by it.
Wow.
Yeah, we didn't have very many clothes. But Mom always made bread. Boy, it was so good. Cinnamon rolls. Come home from school and smell that
Ooh.
bread and cinnamon rolls. It always smelled so good. That's when we lived over by the Catholic Church. That's where I started school, when I lived over there.
You said your mom made bread too.
Oh,
didn't
yeah,
you?
I like it.
Wow.
So, oh. This is a little more.
Canned everything you could put in a can. Yeah.
I bet.
Had of course, didn't have refrigerators.
Not even
Yeah.
ice boxes?
No, well, some people
We
had
didn't have
ice
one.
boxes, but we didn't. We had a well, and it had a thing that scooted off in a little thing with a bucket in it, and we let stuff down in the bucket, our butter and milk, and keep it down in the well, and when you wanted, you had to go pull it back up out of the
I'll
water.
be darned.
But it was really cold, the well water.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know when. We didn't have a refrigerator when we was married.
Really?
Couldn't buy any.
We had
During the war, you
we had
couldn't
a
buy
window box.
A what?
A window box in the apartment we were. It was a box made outside the window and kept things. Of course, in winter, in summer, you couldn't keep them out there, but in the winter, you could
Oh.
keep things out there in that box.
Is
Like
Is that where they get the expression, the window box with flowers planted in it? Was it similar to that?
No, it was like an air conditioner, like built, only it was usually in a window, and it was just a
Oh.
box out there. And when you shut the window, the box was closed, and you open the window to get into that box.
Oh, I see. Wow, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we had an ice box at home. Well, we did when we was married, didn't we? Folks had an ice box. They had,
We did.
we had an ice box over here. Don't you remember when they used to bring ice? Over there when we lived, when Jean and Jenny lives?
Oh, we had Hilda's refrigerator then. That was down there. With livestock.
Maybe so. We had an ice box, though, because I always had to, you always had to empty the,
apartments and
I
had
always had to
refrigerator
empty the
and had
water underneath.
Oh, as
they
it
dripped
melted.
water, and you had to empty the water and run over. That was quite something. Had Iceman. He came, what, every other day or something like that. And brought your ice, put it in your ice box.
That's neat. Now you said, Dad, that your brothers moved out when you were pretty young. How old did
Uh,
they leave home usually in those
both
days?
quit school in the 5th grade.
5th grade,
I
really?
went to work. I wasn't
Oh,
very old. I was 9 years older than me, so I wasn't that very old.
Hmm.
They seem like strangers to me. They come over in the winter after corn shucking for a month or two, then they're gone. See.
I know you said in here, they moved out when you were real little, and I
Yeah.
thought, well, you were 9 when they
Raised
were
with the
born.
girls. Salem Hill raised me.
Wow. Goodness sakes, 5th
I wasn't
grade.
over 6, 7, 5, 6 years old. I had a problem.
Yeah, no
That's all
wonder.
that education I had. Fifth grade.
Wow. Where did they live then when they were
Oh,
working? With the farmer family, or?
They just go, see, they work for the month, $15, $20 a month, and they're bored. They just stay there, see.
Where
Did
is
you
it
hear
work?
that?
Where
that
they work. They stay
His
there.
brothers left home when they were about 5th grade?
Mm-hmm. I figured. I think I heard that.
Oh, golly. Isn't that something?
Well, I only had one brother. So I
That
didn't
was
have to
enough.
worry very
That
much
was
about my
enough,
brothers. Uncle Harold, huh?
You told about making your first pie.
Oh.
Oh, that sounds good.
I love to. I've always loved to cook. Of course, Mom always let me mess around. And we lived down on Broadway, in front of Gillespie's. And I made an apple pie, and Harold knew I made it.
How old were you?
16. And he come to the table with a hammer and a chisel. I said, of course, I said, what? And he said, well, I knew you made that pie. I thought I'd need it. And I cried. And he tried to make it up to me, but he's never been lived that down.
Fun. Now, did your dad farm then for a living?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always farm.
And you kids helped out on the farm
Yeah,
then as
see,
soon as you could.
I started high school, March. And you had a bigger farm. Of course, y'all farm with horses.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to stay on that farm because you couldn't farm myself.
I'll be done.
But you didn't like school.
No, I didn't like school anyway for that. I hated it.
Well, did the girls go any longer to
No.
school than your
I'm
brothers?
the only one that ever started high school.
I was going to say.
It wouldn't have worked out.
Oh.
Women, at least hard to work in the house, to keep house for them.
You know.
For other families?
Yeah.
Oh. Boy.
That was life.
But, you know, 10 years later, why, most girls went to high school. I mean,
I got my
it was
first
an
bicycle,
accepted thing.
first new suit. My neighbor had a little runt pig. Old Sal had too many pigs, had 13. Gave it to me a little runt, and I raised it up on bottle. They got weighed 200 pounds. I sold him, bought me a $12 bicycle and a $12 suit.
I'll be done. Oh, wow. How old were you then?
Well, I thought it was 6, 7, 3.
Wow. That's neat.
Well, I cooked Kiwanis and bought me a bicycle.
Really? In
That's
high
the way
school?
that's the way I bought mine. No.
Oh,
when-
here?
When you would.
Yeah.
Then after I got a car, I sold the bicycle for $3. I never did get all the money for it. Like I got a dollar and a half.
Oh, my gosh.
Kid down there, Stewart's not around yet. He got killed in the service.
Oh, gee.
And that death march from Bataan, you know, cut his tongue out.
Oh, what was this?
And that death march, you know, Japs had
Get in.
Bataan,
Get in.
and I
Bataan
captured
death
them
march.
and walked them, you know.
Oh. Gosh.
Well, your brothers weren't, your family wasn't in service.
No.
were they? See, Harold went in service.
Too old, I was too young.
Yeah, Harold went in service. Well, he's in service when we were going together, wasn't he? Because he was in service when we was married. And Betty lived with us when we moved to Sullivan. Kay was a baby, and she lived with us. Well, I was expecting Steve, and she stayed with us that winter. Steve was born in January, and she come down, I think, in the fall, stayed with us. Harold was in Hawaii.
Hmm.
You're getting a little ahead of yourself. Why don't you back up and tell the camera the story about your boyfriends with the motorcycle?
Oh.
Carney Carroll.
And how your father liked that so much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, me and Ione and Imogene, the three musketeers they called us. Imogene was tall and I was next and Ione was real short. They called us the three musketeers. We were inseparable in high school. And her, Ione's stepdad, used to take us up to Bement to dances on Saturday night. Well, we met some guys up there and they asked if they could bring us home. And one of them's name was Carney Carroll. He was a good-looking kid. And he asked to bring me home, and I said yes, but I didn't know he had a motorcycle. And I had, of course, he didn't wear slacks then, everybody wore dresses. And I had on dress and high heels, hose. But I rode home on a motorcycle. And Dad heard us come in, and he hit the floor about the time we got there. So I went with him a few times after that, but Dad never did like him. That motorcycle kid, he called him. So Carney wanted to buy me a motorcycle outfit and go on hill climbs, they call them, you know, they go on with motorcycles. But Dad wouldn't let me. He didn't like Carney because he was kind of windy. But he didn't like motorcycles either.
Oh, that's cute.
I was in high school, well, probably, I don't know if I was a junior or senior then. Of course, you couldn't go anyplace during the war. See, all the time I was in high school, the war was going on. And couldn't go anyplace because you didn't have gas or car or tires or any place to go anyplace. And if you got a chance to go with somebody, you went. If you didn't, you stayed home.
I trade my cigarette stamps off for gas stamps.
Uh-huh.
That neighbor, he drove a big truck. He had plenty of gas stamps.
Ooh.
So he went off cigarettes. I gave him a cigarette stamp. He gave me a gas stamp.
When Steve was born, I was in the hospital, and we had ration books for canned food and sugar and cheese and stuff. And there was 5 of us in the room. It was a ward-like thing. There was 5 in the room when Steve was born. And we, at night, after we were supposed to turn out the lights, we'd shut the door and we'd trade stamps. Some of the nurses would come in. Of course, they always need shoe stamps. And they didn't use their sugar stamps or can stamps, so they'd give us sugar stamps and can stamps, and we'd give them shoe stamps. Till his sister called us one time, and she put a stop to that. But we were pretty lucky, because the guy that lived next door to us drove a big truck, and he had a lot of gas stamps, and he smoked cigarettes, and he couldn't get cigarettes, so we'd give him our cigarette stamps, and he'd give us gas stamps. It was illegal, but we got by with it anyway.
How long were you in the hospital when Steve was born?
10 days.
Oh, okay.
You didn't touch your feet to the floor till 10 days. You set up the 10th day.
And now your mom had all of your kids, all of them at home?
We was in the hospital 10 days, and it cost $50. And I was in hospital 5 days with David, and it cost $50. And I was in the hospital 2 days with Marlene, and it cost $50.
Oh my.
Now it's, what, $250 a day or
Say
something
you
like
set foot in an hour.
$50 for emergency
Them
room.
days didn't have any insurance, so.
No.
Now, did your mom, when they had the kids at home, did someone come in and help, like a midwife? Or?
The doctor came.
Oh, the doctor came around.
Well,
See,
usually
in little
somebody's-
towns around just a little store in them around always had a doctor.
Ah.
Remember down there, little foxes, we used to call Obit, you know? We had a doctor there.
Huh.
Horse and buggies.
I was reading in your little book where you said you learned to drive when you were 10.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's when you started driving, and you didn't ever have. When did you first get a driver's license?
The 40s, wasn't it?
They didn't have driver's licenses before
I
that?
don't think so.
I don't think they required them till about then, did they?
I think so.
I know I didn't have no driver's license.
No insurance either.
I got my first driver's license after you were born,
Huh.
because we lived down there in Icelaker's house when I got my first driver's license. So it must have been about that time they started requiring driver's license.
All the time. I didn't know that.
Did you have a car?
Yeah.
When you were growing up? I mean, your family had a car?
Kenneth Warren bought one.
Do you use horse and buggy then?
We had an Edsel.
Never got to go
No,
anyplace.
was it an
Wasn't
Edsel?
a big
They never,
Edsel.
boys never take me anyplace.
It wasn't an Edsel. What was that old car Harold had? The Alf, we
I
called
don't know,
it?
that's what I knew you. I don't know.
Was it an Edsel?
An Alfa Romeo.
Essex.
Essex. We named him Alf because we bought it from a man named Alf, and we lived out in the country, out there east of the Legion. Of course, Harold played sports, and I'd ride to school with him, but he didn't get off till about 6 o'clock, so I'd walk home. So we drove Alf to school. Brown Essex.
First car I had bought a Model T for $12.50.
Oh, gosh.
But a punch of wire, went with the baler for 75 cents a day. Pay for it.
Wow.
A license cost you $8, I think, per year, and I've always waited till July and got off a half ride.
Oh.
Well, I was 15, 16. I stayed babysat for a family of kids of 3, and I got their breakfast, went down, got them up, and got their breakfast, and fixed their lunch, and started her supper, and did her ironing
Oh, my
for
God.
$3 a week.
Oh,
I remember 32, we lived down there with Stewart's, and corn was 9 cents a bushel. We burnt a lot of it for coal, burnt in the fire.
corn? Really?
Yeah. Sounds good. Got a lot of alcohol in it, see.
Oh.
Couldn't sell it and buy coal. So what are you gonna do with it? Might
Yeah.
as well burn it.
I'll be darned.
Hmm.
Shoes, buy a pair of shoes for 8 cents. 7 loaves of bread for a quarter.
I don't think I ever did have a pair of shoes that fit till I was in high school.
Had the cow sell cream and stuff like
Where'd
that.
you get
Eggs,
your
and that was
shoes?
it.
Well, there was somebody always gave them to me, and they're either too little or too big.
Oh, my
But you
God.
wore them, because that's all you had. But then, I think in high school I had some new shoes, but it seemed like about the first shoes I can remember buying was in high school when saddle Oxfords got real popular. I was so proud of those saddle Oxfords.
Wow.
And then we had those little pumps with heels about this high. They weren't laced, just little pumps, and we wore anklets with them.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like in my yearbook, I think you've seen them in there. But they look funny now, but we thought those were really neat.
Gosh.
Before we get too much farther, when you were little, did your dad always have a mustache?
Yeah, he shaved it all the time too. That's
Did
all
he?
I remember ever having it.
Oh,
You didn't
yeah.
know him when he shaved it off, did you?
Oh,
Don't you remember once you said he'd come home, you didn't know him?
Looked 2 or 3 times.
Because all the pictures I've ever seen, he's always had a
Yeah.
mustache.
He shaved it off a couple times, I think. Had it off for a while. Good back.
Did you used to take you outside and play with you and stuff? Or was he just kind of soft-spoken like you are?
See, how old was he now?
He was 73 when you were 30.
So it would have been 43 when you were born?
Something around there.
Because he was 73 when Steve was born. and Dad
He's
was
he was young. I heard Kent Warren tell me. He used to quite a swimmer and diver. On 4th of July, he'd always win all the contests.
Huh.
A horse rider too. He could run and jump on the horse and go under him and everything else while he was going.
Oh, my gosh.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, I don't know what Kenneth Warren told me just a few years ago. I didn't know about it.
Did your mom ever play with you or anything, or was she too busy doing everything she
They
had to
do
do?
work.
Mom trainer never
The
made
girls
over,
did.
never made over kids.
Huh.
Do you ever remember your grandma trainer holding you and loving you?
Mm-mm.
She never did.
She used to give us things and make us
Yeah,
things.
yeah, but she wouldn't pick you
Yeah.
up like we
No.
do our grandkids and love them. And you knew she loved them. I mean, she talked to them and everything, but she never showed her affection very much. I never remember her loving the kids when they were little. She sure was a good cook, though.
She was quite old when we were born.
Yeah, that's
And
one
Marlene
thing,
said
yeah,
she
the-
can't ever remember Grandma being anything but old. And
I
she
can't
didn't.
either.
She's in her 70s, I think, when she was born.
Yeah.
Sure, she would have been.
Yeah, she was older than you were when I was born.
Wow.
Well, let's see. Dad Trainer was 73 when Steve was born. And
My
she
goodness.
was what, how much? She was what,
About
5 or 6
5 or
younger.
6 years different.
So, See, she was
Yeah.
older. Yeah, I don't know.
I remember the second car I got was 28 Chevy. Well, I thought I had some. Which it was them days, a nice car. It wasn't only 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
Do
Do
you
you,
I didn't-
do you remember was that the, one of those Kaisers that the top come bubbled down in when we were driving? You remember that, I bet, don't you? Were we going someplace and the ceiling of the car come clear down and touched our heads?
Oh, was it convertible?
No,
No,
it
it
was
was-
lining inside.
It was the
It's
headliner. It used to get air.
We
Used to
had
get,
windows down and sucked and then sucked
So you didn't
down.
have any air conditioners.
sure.
And that ceiling came down and
We was going down the switchers.
I don't know where it was going, but I know that. But of course didn't have air conditioners and always had to have the windows down.
Oh, yeah.
And Steve and Dave always had riding back with Grandma Trina. And she didn't like for him to touch her. She'd sit down and straighten out her skirts, and she had always wore white gloves and
Oh.
scarf, and she didn't want him to touch her and mess her up.
Oh.
Of course, you know, 2 boys riding with their grandmas. So she'd get them interested in games. Remember some of the games you used to play, David? Guessing red barns and red cars and green cars and how many
Oh, really?
bridges, and to keep them busy. But she didn't, of course, she was in the back seat, and you got about all the wind in the back seat.
right.
But you had to have the windows down when it was hot. And then David, he come up with the idea he got sick in the back seat, so he could ride in the front seat. I'm sick, I want to ride in the front seat. So we
I guess
just,
you really did, didn't you?
Yeah.
it worked, didn't it?
we talked him out of it, but one time when we didn't talk hard enough and he got sick, so then from then on he got to ride in the front seat.
I still do that.
You still gets very
I
cursed.
still get sick in the car.
Uh-huh.
But when we used to go to Michigan, you used to always ride in the back seat with Grandma and Steve. We
Remember one
drive.
time we left a whole bunch of crayons in the back end of the back window of the Kaiser, and all the crayons melted.
Oh,
I don't
Remember, and
remember
it
that.
smelled terrible.
really?
And every time I'd get in the back seat of that car, I'd get sick smelling those crayons. I can still smell those crayons today.
We could get in that car and drive to Michigan, and Grandma Trainer would sit there all the way and never move. She never wanted us to stop to get the restroom or to get anything to drink or anything. We was wasting time if we stopped. And she'd just sit there and she always had her sweater on, no matter, she had to have a sweater on, a scarf, and her white gloves. And
See, I don't ever remember riding to Michigan with Grandma.
You don't?
No.
You did lots of times.
That's a long trip.
I remember driving to Michigan several times, but just always with
Grandma
us.
always went.
No,
Just
she
always
did.
with us.
Almost always went to Michigan. on
That's-
weekends. You
Well,
know,
I want to find out. You were clear down by Assumption, where you were born. Now,
Assumption's that way.
how'd you get up to Windsor and in that area? Did you move the
I
farm?
moved, well, I started from high school, started in Wakefield, down to Sturgeon. Then we moved up there to Saxon Farm, to Windsor. Lived there longer than any place we ever lived.
Okay.
About 10 years, I think.
That's where he lived when I met.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say. Now you were just getting out of high school, and you wanted to go to college, but you couldn't.
So I went to work.
No money.
No money.
Couldn't get any scholarships.
Well,
You're pretty smart.
yeah, I could have gotten a scholarship. I missed being third by a tenth of a point. And the girl that got third got the scholarship and never used it.
Oh.
So I didn't get it. And so I didn't get to go. I wanted to go to nurse's training, or I wanted to be an elementary teacher. So I went to work at the shoe factory right out of high school. And that's where I met him.
And that's what were you going to do? You're going to save your money and go to college, weren't you?
First $50 I saved got my tonsils out.
Wow.
Cost me $50. And so then I was saving, and I was going to go to college. And I had $150 saved, and I bought furniture.
Well,
I mean, were you still living in Lovington?
Yep.
How were you getting back and forth from the shoe factory?
Right with Hannah Clavel.
And you were driving up to Sullivan from Windsor?
I did for a while, then I stayed with Hilda.
Well, that's right. Hilda was probably married, living in Sullivan, wasn't she? That's right, because Norma's not that much. How much younger is Norma than you?
5 years.
I was gonna say, because Norma was probably pretty good size at that point.
But we worked at the shoe factory. I worked on the second floor, and he worked on the second floor.
Rick, can you
You worked
remember the
on
first
third.
time?
Merle Moses.
Can you
On
remember
the second and bottoming room.
Can you
third
remember the
floor was
first time
heavy.
you ever saw each other?
Well, he said that he come up to a football game, him and
Yes.
Merle Moses. And Merle was telling him, you better get acquainted with me. But I didn't know him then until I started the shoe factory. And they had what they call shoe lasts. They were pretty high. What were they? 6 foot high? That you put shoes on in there. And he always sat there and waited for time to ring his clock in up on one of those lasts way up high. And you had to punch a clock. And every time I'd go in, right, he'd look at me and he'd whistle, you know. That
I'm
little,
looking for some other girl, but I know you the Merle.
me and
Mar-
Myrtle Atkins.
Myrtle Atkins.
Yeah. She was same as me, kind of dumpy. And he'd whistle. And I thought, boy, he's kind of cute. And so he had to turn right from the time clock, and I had to turn left. And so I asked Merle Moses, he worked back there, and I said, who is that dark-headed kid up there? He sure is cute. Merle said, I bet you can't get him to speak to you. He's so shy. And I said, I'll bet I can. Of course, I'm just like I am now. I could talk all the time. So every time I'd go by, I'd say, hi, Jerry. I don't know what he thought, but anyway, he got so he'd say hi. And
Every time I go out, she'd be standing down there waiting. On
Oh.
the stairs. Walk out the car.
walk out the car
I
with
wonder
him.
what the devil's going on. What's she
So
trying
then-
to pull here?
So then Merle said, well, you got him to speak to you, but you never get a date with that guy. Because said he just won't date. And he evidently didn't know you very well.
Actually not.
Oh.
Anyway, I said, what do you want to bet I can get a date with him? And he said, I'll bet you a quarter. You can't get a date with him. So I said, okay. So every time I'd go by, I'd say something to him. And then I'd stop and talk to him, and he'd talk to me. And so I quit the shoe factory to get my tonsils out, didn't I? That's when I was so sick all the time, had tonsillitis, so I quit to get my tonsils out. And so while I was gone, I guess he was asking Merle all about me and everything, how come I'd quit the shoe factory. And so when I went back, I didn't go back to work in the factory, and I was going to go on one of these, what did they call those government things? You went and worked in a government plant, did some kind of government war work anyway. And I couldn't get in because folks wouldn't sign for me. So I went down and put my application in at the office and got on in the office at the shoe factory. As soon as I got in the office, he asked me for a date.
Oh.
He didn't want me when I worked in the factory, but when I got in the office. So I kept telling Merle he owed me a quarter, and you know when I got it, on our 40th anniversary.
That's right.
And I still got it in my book.
That's right. Ah.
Poor old Merle's gone. We talked to Margaret. Did we tell you we talked to her not long ago? She'd fallen and broken her elbow. She has had an awful time. But anyway,
So you had done some dating before, huh?
Me?
Merle didn't know.
did you know about Meldon?
Who?
And Dad's redhead.
Oh, Dad's redhead. Oh, tell us about your redhead.
Red hair and green eyes.
What was that? 2 hits it about 2 years old.
Oh.
From 40 to 42.
Well, we just
Ah.
about now, and Thanksgiving time is when we had our first date. Because the folks went up to Rock Island with Betty and Harold for Thanksgiving, and Betty and Harold just got married. And the folks took the bus and went up there for Thanksgiving.
And where Uncle Harold was working?
That's right, at the
Or
Arsenal.
Rock Island Arsenal.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a good friend that works there.
And Grandma Leonard was living, and I stayed with Grandma Leonard. And at Thanksgiving time. that's
Now,
when
what
we had
year was this when you first started dating?
42. Right after I was out of high school. See, I graduated in the summer, and that was in the next fall.
She lost her voice and couldn't talk.
First date, lost my voice.
I read that in here. What a riot. So had you just broken up with your redhead?
Mm.
Oh. I see.
So that was Thanksgiving of 42, and you got married in, what, October of 43. Less than a year later.
I didn't really intend to get married, really.
How odd
Going
you-
to the couple there, and
Joe and I own.
they going to get married in April. Wanted to stand up was I just kidding. I said, just make it a foursome. All four get married. She said, all right.
Made you eat those words,
Well, I
didn't
put it off till November, October.
I really wasn't ready to get married that soon because we hadn't been going together very long then.
What did your folks think of Dad?
Well, they liked him from the very first.
Better than the motorcycle, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah, they liked
I always
him.
made a,
He'd come up almost every Sunday afternoon and had supper.
always
with
tried to
us.
get him good with the girls' folks.
But they didn't know how old he was,
Oh,
and I didn't either till just before we was married. If they'd
really?
known he was much older than I was, they probably would never let me go on with him.
What, did you ever ask, or it just never came up?
I never asked him how old he was. He never asked me how old I was. He knew how old I was because he knew when I was in school.
What did your folks think of Mom?
Oh, all right, yes, they didn't see her for a long time, did they?
When I got my ring, he took me down there
Oh, really?
to Sexton Corner, remember? When you gave me a diamond. We went
I
down
remember
there.
going down there. I don't know this about
Norma was so jealous.
Uh-huh.
Norma, Hilda's Norma.
that. We
Uh-huh.
got to raise her. She said
And they
to
about
us.
raised her, and oh, she was so
She
jealous
still
because I
had
had that
90s on,
ring.
yeah.
Who raised Norma?
My folks.
His folks.
Oh.
Hilda worked all the time, and they kept Norma a lot.
Oh.
She didn't like me. Well, Hilda never liked me very much either, but Norma was so jealous because her Uncle Jerry was hers.
Oh, dear. So were you still living in Sullivan with Hilda?
Mhm.
Okay.
Tell him where you gave me my diamond.
I was walking back from dinner on it.
We went uptown for lunch and in front of
I
the Shell
forgot.
filling station there at that, what do they call it now, that, what is that? Something K
Yeah.
and K? That thing that stays open all night, sells gas there, what is that? What do they
Right there
call
next
it?
to the bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I got my diamond.
Oh.
Walking back to work.
Did you know you were going to get one, or was it a surprise?
No, it was a surprise.
Oh, that's
He'd
neat.
gone, I don't know what day it was, but he'd gone on over the weekend and got it.
And when was that? What month?
Then
That
sometime-
wasn't, well, it wasn't too long before we was married. In
Summertime.
the summer, just before we was married in October. Yeah, probably July, maybe June, July.
And you were still working in the office at the factory?
I worked there till just before Steve was born.
Oh. Now, when did you start at the shoe factory?
39.
Okay.
I lived on the farm. Dad quit farming. Gave all the stuff to Warren. He started that farm.
In the same place?
No, that farm sold.
Oh,
That's one reason he quit. They had 65 anyhow. He wanted to quit.
yeah.
That didn't put no word. So I was working on the farm. I helped him bale. I'm a baler. Come home that night. Mom said, you got called. Someone in the shoe factory. So I thought that next morning when I was there.
How much you start an hour?
Had you been up, put an application in?
Yeah, I had been for a long time. There was always a line block along every morning waiting up there to try to get a job.
Oh, wow.
That's when you couldn't buy a job. I got a job. Hilda worked there, and she had a pull, so you got to pull through that place.
Oh,
And I got
see.
She got
Oh, I
back
bet
to one
I.
of the big shops there.
How much an hour did you start at?
I don't know, 25 or 40. 25.
I started at 40.
Probably 25.
40 cents an hour. Because I went, I must have went for 2 weeks every morning and stand in line for a couple hours and wait. And I
Wow.
started at 40 cents an hour. And when I quit, I was working in the office and I was one of the highest paid. I was doing payroll, 65 cents an hour.
My gosh.
Stuff. I had pretty good wages then, though.
No one too bad then.
Now, did you make women's shoes at that point during the war, or
Women
did you?
and kids.
You didn't make any boots or
Oh,
anything
no.
for the war? Okay. Huh. I want to back up just a second. What do you remember about holidays or Christmas? Was that the biggest holiday that you celebrated when you were kids, when you were at home?
Oh, yeah.
How, is there anything in particular, any traditions that you had?
Well, a lot of them farm, but they didn't always buy trees without timber and cut ones. They brought it in. Of course, we didn't have no lights. It's just popcorn and stuff like that put on.
Never had lights on.
No? Did you ever put candles on them?
No.
No?
We always had popcorn or cranberries.
Had a no corn planter wheel. Set it down in a corn planter wheel. Put it up as a stand.
Oh.
We almost always went to Grandma's. I mean, that was just the thing. Thanksgiving and Christmas, we went to Grandma's. Of course, Dad's folks were always down around St. Elmo. We didn't go down there very often.
Where was Grandma's?
Grandma Leonard,
I mean, where?
here in town.
Here in Larrington?
Well, sometime out in the country. She lived out east, out south.
If we got one thing, we'd be lucky.
Is that right?
We never got toys for Christmas. We always got things we needed, socks and underwear and
Now,
dresses.
probably every church, you know, would have a Christmas program out. We always go to that.
Huh.
2-3 family go on a big wagon. Or snow on go on a big sled.
Oh, gosh.
Always
Remember
got
that.
always got orange in our sock.
I mean, maybe it's
That
candy.
was-
I saw that.
But we always wore long cotton socks, ribbed long cotton socks. Always got socks and slips and nightgown, maybe pajamas. We never got toys.
How did you get toys then, or didn't you have many toys at all?
I have toys.
Hmm. Did anyone ever make any for you?
Oh yeah, we made our own.
Did you?
Rolled tires and rolled
Oh.
them with a stick. Remember those wheel things we used to wheel? And never had a bicycle or anything like that. I never had a bicycle.
Did you make dolls? Did they have homemade dolls that you played with?
I don't even remember having a doll for a long time. I had a well, the first doll I can really remember how much her younger is Norma Ann than me. I got that the year Norma Ann was born, and I named it. It was my cousin, and I named it Norma Ann. But they named the baby Norma Ann. She's probably 10 years younger than me,
Wow.
so I was probably that old before I had a doll I could remember. Had to feel pretty hard. We just didn't have things on what we needed.
Yeah.
So when can you remember the first time having lights on a Christmas tree?
I think
Oh,
we
we
had,
had
I
lights
think we
back
had
when-
lights. I think we had lights when I was in high school. Because see, most of the time I was in grade school, we didn't have electricity, no lamps. But
We never had lights at home because we didn't have electricity.
Yeah. I figured living out in the country, you probably didn't have electricity until, what, late in the 40s?
They just started putting electricity in rural education lights when they moved. In 39.
yeah, I was supposed to say it was in the 40s.
In the
or
40s
after
where they got
that.
them all in.
Wow. So when you two were first married, you lived in an apartment above the shoe factory?
No,
It was about 2 blocks from the shoe factory.
Ah.
$5 a week.
Rent?
Big,
Everything,
one
eating everything fine.
big room that was bedroom and living room combined, and a big walk-in closet that connected the kitchen and the living room, and had everything furnished but our linens. $5 a week. Warm and great big bathroom. We had somebody else share. We shared the bathroom because there was another apartment upstairs. We shared it, but it was nice.
Wow. How long did you stay there?
Well, we was married in October. We stayed there till next May.
Now, and Aunt Betty stayed with you for a little
No.
while?
No, not then.
Oh, okay.
House.
We got a house there in Sullivan. That's where we lived when Steve was born. $17.50 a month for a
It
5-year-old
wasn't very
house.
old.
5 years old. 4 rooms and bath.
Bought all new furniture.
Wow.
Then we moved to a dumb little apartment down there by the flower shop.
Done house sold, somebody bought it
Oh.
and moved. Should
We
have bought it
did.
herself, I don't know why we didn't.
We couldn't get along. It was during the war.
Yeah, that's right. So okay, I had plenty of money.
We moved into a house when Steve, right after Steve was born. There was one
Across from
upstairs-
Elsie's
there
flower
was-
shop.
It was right just across from the shoe factory. And there was one that lived upstairs that had 5 kids. And a woman in the back of us, 2 rooms upstairs, she had 5 kids. And a woman, 2 rooms in the back, she had 5 kids. And we had 2 rooms, and he put up some kind of a dumb wall up and made 3 rooms out of it. And we had Steve. So there was 11 kids in 2, 4, 5, 6 rooms.
Oh my gosh.
So we didn't stay there very long, but it was during the war, you couldn't find it.
Yeah.
We moved to Lovington then.
Got a
Oh.
house up here for $10 a month.
Wow.
I don't ever.
Where
France
Gene
lived.
France lives.
Had no bathroom.
And then
We
did you move from there to here?
No.
Oh no.
Oh no.
We moved into the apartment where David was born from there,
Oh.
upstairs,
It's down on the highway,
down south end of town,
out by Long's house.
where that big
Oh.
new brick house is. Then we moved from there up north of the bank. And moved here.
Wow. And you've been here ever since?
Since 49.
Because down there, the war was over, and that guy come back, he wanted his house, and
Oh.
we had to get out. Nothing to rent, things for sale, so we bought. 1750.
$1,750. But it was just 4 rooms, no bath.
Hmm.
We had a bathroom for, no, it was just before, or just after Marlene was born. We got a bathroom.
You
It was
remember
after.
that.
After Marlene was
Yeah.
born.
Because I think it was like 1954.
No, it
54.
was sometime along in there.
I think I was like 7. Because I can remember taking a bath in the Kitchen.
Wash tub,
On Saturday night?
galvanized tub.
or those heating stove.
Yeah, turn the oven on, open the oven door so it'd be nice and warm in there.
I can remember when our kids were little, you said when yours were little, every time you give them a bath, you'd wash out the clothes they had on and hang them up, so you always had their clothes.
I give them a bath. I used the bath water was always, it wasn't dirty either.
Yeah.
I just wash out the clothes and hang them up.
Well, now that little back, where the bathroom is now, was just a closet kind of thing?
It was a back porch.
Oh,
It was when I lived here. It
Well,
was.
Yeah,
we lived
but
there.
I can remember it was a storage
Yeah.
But
spot.
it was that was a kitchen. This back bedroom was a kitchen when I lived here,
really?
and that was a back porch.
That whole room was a kitchen?
Mhm.
What was where the kitchen is?
Bedroom. That was Grandpa Andy's bedroom. Grandpa Andy lived with us. Dad's dad.
Wow.
What, that archway wasn't in there, or what?
No, it was just a door,
Oh, really?
and this was a bedroom, and that was a living room.
So you slept in the bedroom with your mom and dad and
We must have.
and Harold?
Because there were just 4 little rooms, but that was the kitchen back there, and that where the bathroom is was a back porch. There was a smokehouse out back.
Oh, really?
Back of it.
Wow.
Every house had a smokehouse when I was a
Really?
kid.
Of course,
was a place for junk, mostly.
Oh.
Yeah, we had that. I remember it was it an open porch
Not when you did.
when
Well,
you
until
were
this
living
house?
there? Yeah, the back porch. You said that was a back porch. Was it an open porch or a closed-in porch?
No, just like it is. I mean, it had a door there where the tub is.
That was just kind of a little room. We had onions and stuff hung up in there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I said that was a back porch when I was here, and then the door went out there at the east, where the tub is.
See, I remember there used to be toys and stuff. And we used to keep our boxing stand and stuff in there. We'd go in there.
Daddy slept out there when it's cold.
Did it still have the doorway to the outside and to the inside?
I don't remember that being a doorway in it.
We closed that door up when we made the bathroom.
Of course, I remember that doorway, where the doorway is to get into the bathroom. That's how you got into the little
Wow.
room. But I don't remember there being a door to the outside.
Out the east.
Hmm.
Window on this side.
And we had a little shed out here.
About where the lilac bush is. No, where the
No,
oak
well,
tree-
That where the apple tree is.
Yeah, yeah.
Apple tree is, and then the outhouse was right
North of.
north of that little shed.
How did you potty train them? Did you have a little one in the house then that you used?
The potty chairs.
Oh, I think so. Huh.
Great life.
Yeah, I guess.
Everybody else
I don't
is
know
that
that
way.
I'd want to live it over again, but I guess it was great.
Nobody had hardly any bathroom around there.
Or you didn't think much of it? No.
Yeah.
So you'd have to, now for you guys to take baths, so I can see kids in the little wash tub, you had to use a big wash tub too?
Yeah. almost. Usually after they went to bed, we took our baths, and
Wow.
sat on the edge of the tub and wash.
Hmm.
Doesn't it seem funny? David's smiling.
Christmas tree used to sit right there in front of that window.
Yeah, I remember.
This was
Oh,
a
really?
bedroom. Marlene's bed sat over here in this corner. And we had a little curtained-in closet over there behind the door. And that was a closet we built. And there,
Oh,
used
Bill
to
Haven,
be, there used to be a door there. David filled it
Oh
in.
yeah, you hauled that in.
And our bed was in here and Marlene's bed. And we always had a Christmas tree in front of that south window. Because there wasn't any window, wasn't any room in the living room, because that was a living room and it was so little. So we always had the Christmas tree in here, and that was a job to Santa to come.
With Suge's bed in here.
Well, her bed was in here till we built those rooms on in 1960.
1960.
Did you use this door much at all then?
No, we hardly ever had it open at all, in summer or winter. That's the reason why David took it out, because we never used it. We just
Well, you
used
put that new door in when you closed in the front porch, didn't you? I don't remember. I don't remember what kind of door was there before. I was what,
There's no plain door.
13. I don't remember much about the door there. I remember there was a doorway there.
But it didn't have glass.
I remember you put the new door in it, and there were a few times during the summer.
Yeah, we used to open
I remember
it
you used to
summertime.
open
Yeah,
this
maybe.
door in the summertime, and you could go to the front porch from here,
Hmm.
or you could go to the front porch out of the dining room. But we never opened it very often, even in the summertime, because usually it had something in front of it.
Yeah.
You know, the TV was in front of it, or something was in front of it. I remember we used to move the TV from season to season.
Yeah.
You'd be in one spot during the summertime, and then you'd move it somewhere else during the
We used to sit
wintertime.
right over that chair. wasn't
Yeah.
Sit over in this corner a lot.
it? Right over this
Well, what kinds of things did you do for entertainment before there was TV or radio if you didn't have electricity? What did people do?
Play cards.
Visited.
You got together with other families a lot?
Yeah. Make ice cream and play cards.
'Cause you lived with a lot of relatives around you. Dad, did you have a lot of relatives too that lived? No? Your dad or your mom's family? Were
my
they?
grandpa used to come stay once in a while.
Huh.
He died when I was about 9 years old. I don't hardly remember him.
Hmm.
I remember too much things.
Who's
He'd
that?
stay around
Hopkins?
with the kids, huh?
Who's that? Hopkins?
So,
And we used to always get together Saturday nights with Amos and Love's house. My folks always played cards, pinochle.
Mhm.
Always liked to play pinochle. And us kids, of course, they had 4 kids, and us two, we always had a ball. Popcorn, and always had something to do. Of course, we had a lot more church functions too. And there was like going on with kids stuff, and we were always active in church. But, never seemed to lack entertainment.
well, that's all we knew. Everybody done that.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
We didn't have no radio after we got married. Found the second hand one.
Really?
Bought over that too. But they didn't make them then during the war. And we couldn't buy it. I bought second hand ones and stuff.
Wow.
Didn't make cars either during the war, did they?
Your wash machines. I didn't have a wash machine till after you were born.
We got the first one. That's the guy in down
Lived upstairs there at that wash machine. We done out without an awful lot during the war. Of course, I guess we weren't destitute, but we did without, according to now, we did
But
without a lot.
the Danforth doesn't have no springs in it.
That's a funny story. We bought before we were married, Dunscomb's, it's still there. We saw blue, it was like this mohair, you know, that,
Oh, yeah.
it was sticky, and we thought that was the most beautiful thing. It was in the window. So we went in and put a down payment on it for him to hold it for us, because we knew we was going to get married, but we didn't know exactly when. And we had it paid off then every time we got married.
You're wrong. We didn't want it upstairs. We got a new house.
Well, we got it for quite a long while before we married anyway. But anyway, we thought that was so beautiful, and it was, you sit on it, it'd stick you, you know. It wasn't smooth like this, but it didn't have any springs in it. You just sit like this. It was just like sitting on a board. And we bought a new bedroom suit, and of course it was velour, wood velour front. It wasn't solid wood like they make them.
Oh,
veneer.
veneer.
Yeah.
Wood veneer.
And I was expecting Steve, and we had the cushions out of the Davenport. We'd sent them to have springs put in them.
Oh.
They said that we could do that, so we sent all the cushions, and all the veneer had come off of the front of the seat, off of the chest of drawers, and we had all the drawers out, set in to get them fixed, and I got sick, and we called the doctor down. There was no cushions on the Davenport, no drawers in the chest. I said I was so embarrassed that we got them all fixed up. And we had a beautiful kitchen set, and I had gotten a big, what do they call, Fostoria punch bowl and candles, still got the candlesticks. And we was working, of course, and every morning I had a doily on the middle of the table and my Fostoria fruit bowl sitting on there. Come home one night and the chandelier fell right in that punch bowl and broke it all to pieces. We had an oil stove, 3-burner oil stove. Remember the time I upset it? Oh!
Oh.
We heated water to wash in a, we call it a boiler, copper boiler. And I put it on there and it got it too far to the front and upset it. Copper boiler full of water in the kitchen.
Oh. Was this here in this place?
No,
or-
it was Sullivan.
Oh. What did the stove look like? It was just was it a
Long,
freestanding?
3 burners, about that long.
close
About,
up, white enamel.
had a little
Oh.
oven you'd set on top of the burner.
Really?
Yeah, you'd take it off and you'd set it on top of the burner. You didn't have a built-in oven.
Huh.
Just a thing you set on top of it. I don't know how I ever baked. I guess I did.
Wow.
The time that, well, Betty was staying with us at that house. Kaylin was little. And she couldn't bake a pie and I couldn't either. Fit without a hammer and chisel. And we
I can't imagine
we
that.
took a whole day, and I don't know how much flour we bought and lard, and we was bound we was going to make a pie, and we worked all day making pies and throwing out dough, and we finally got it down. Learned how to make pies.
Oh,
Did
that,
you have a cookbook?
I don't know.
Told you how to make pie
Probably
crust?
not. Probably not. I never
that's why
used-
she learned with the pinch and the scoop and the.
I've got a dozen cookbooks now and don't use them.
Why didn't
Yeah,
you
that
ask
old
Grandma?
one, didn't you? Mom wouldn't give it.
Number 32 one, I might have had it.
Why didn't you guys ask Grandma?
Well, she probably would tell me just like I tell Nancy, a little this, a little that.
You got to tell about when Steve was born. January 29th,
Oh yes.
28th, or 29th, which is it?
29.
29th?
She woke me up about 2 o'clock in the morning. You went in the bathroom and your water broke. Didn't I? Of course, we didn't have no phone.
Betty was there.
I'd run 3 blocks down there, check Morgan.
He was sleeping in the
He's sleeping, he had a little store, he's sleeping in the store because his house was quarantined. I think his daughter
since
had
scarlet fever.
scarlet fever.
Oh gosh.
He knowed I was going to be down there one day. I went in and I called his dog. He said, well, take her over to the hospital. And they'll call me when the time's ready. So I run back, holding the devil, got the old car started. Got her and
Got
Betty in
Kaylin
there.
up
Took Kaylin up here.
there from Grandma's.
Well, she went. No, she
No, we left her at Hazel's.
Then and picked up Cecil, her mother. Started over there. Got over there and got across the bridge, let it go around that curve. About what time in year?
Now, which side of the lake were you on? Were you on the
On
far
the
side of the
Far
lake?
side
or
of the
this?
lake, just going around the curve. I
Okay.
coasted in there. There's a filling station there. Now the dry cleaning thing.
Where all those apartments are along there on Wood Street.
Yeah, got out. Tried to flag somebody down. 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, ain't many people going.
Mhm.
And that car come along, they wouldn't stop. Next when I got out on the
Panes
road,
were
I
5
was gonna
minutes
stop.
apart.
It was a taxi cab.
Oh.
Uh,
And you had your mom and Aunt Betty
Yeah.
with you too.
She said, I gotta go up and pick some guy and take him to work and be right back. I said, no, you better take me now. I said, in emergency? I said, yeah. I said, okay. Come on in. We went right on through all the red lights.
Oh.
Up there said, Marion, you got up there. He said, what's the hurry? I said, my wife thought I had a baby. Oh my God.
He just laid his head down over the steering wheel.
He didn't know when he took
No,
you.
he didn't know what all of us was doing in there, getting in, I guess.
So I stayed up there. See, that was all that day and all that night. Next morning, I had to walk uptown to Decatur, catch a bus, go back to Lovington, or to Sullivan.
You come back to Lovington.
Come back to Lovington,
Dad's
pick up the old
car.
Model A. Because Dad mom drove down Sullivan. Had to get somebody to come across Decatur again, pull that line in,
37 Chevy.
pull it in. And finally did it.
Probably come back to hospital that night.
Yeah, but I walked somebody, I had to go. Yeah, I had to catch a bus and come back up and get your dad's car, that's what it was. And go to Decatur. I didn't sleep for 2 days and night.
Well, then your dad got real sick. Your dad got real sick while I was in the hospital.
Oh,
You
really?
had to go down there.
What did he
Remember?
have?
Didn't he have a stroke or something while I was in the hospital?
Wow.
Yeah, because
That's the
Steve was
second
born in January of '45, and he
He had a stroke
Steve
right after
was
he
3
married.
weeks. Steve was 3 weeks old when he died.
He died like in February.
Because
didn't
I know when I got out of the hospital, he was real bad and I wanted to go down and the doctor said, no, you can't go, you can't travel that far. And I said, well, Dad Trainer was real bad and I wanted him to see the baby. And he said, no, you can't go. Well, next day I think Dad Trainer died and I went anyway, so I might as well have gone.
Mm.
So Dad Trainer got to see with his footprints.
Hmm.
Betty's
He had 2 strokes. About a year before he had one.
Hmm.
But he kind of got old. He got around. One side's paralyzed.
money.
And then, well, I guess he had another one. Well, he had that quite a while, month or
Oh, about a month probably.
After the first one?
2. That's the second.
Oh. Hmm.
He's the kind of guy, he never went to the doctor. You couldn't get him to the doctor.
He laughed, he go,
Doctor told him one time,
yeah,
last time,
like
he
Dad.
come down there, as you
Like
grow.
Dad and Uncle Kenny and Uncle Warren all do, huh?
Yep.
Said he felt his hand is cold, said you got high blood pressure. Just a little rheumatism or something.
Oh.
Had to go and check the blood pressure.
Last time I saw Dad Trainer, we were down there just before Steve was born. See, Steve was born. We was there for Christmas. Before Steve was born in January. Grandma gave me that baby picture that's in there on the wall,
Yes.
and she made a baby lad for me. And Dad Trainer, he was kind of like me. And I remember he took around and he said, now you be real careful because we're looking forward to that baby.
Oh.
Don't climb up on any chairs, he said. He wanted me to really be careful.
Huh. I'll tell a story about when your son, who was supposed to be a daughter, was born. You wanted a family just like yours,
I
didn't
just
you?
wanted a boy and a girl. That's all I wanted.
And are they the same distance that you and Harold are
Yeah.
apart?
That's exactly.
So you got your boy, and now
January
you're
and June.
ready for your
And I was
daughter.
ready for my girl and didn't get her.
And what were you going to name her?
Phyllis.
Phyllis. I don't know where I got Pam.
I think that's probably what I thought
you
it
thought?
was.
Okay.
No. I like the name of Phyllis.
And you wouldn't
Wouldn't look at him.
No, wouldn't look at him. Nurse said, "What is the matter with her?" I just was so down in the dumps, and she brought the baby in, and I didn't want to look at it. And Mom said, "Well, she wanted a girl," and she said, "And she's that disappointed?" And Mom said, "Yeah." And Mom said, "I just wanted to turn you across my knee and spank you so bad." Because he was a beautiful baby.
Oh yeah,
Really was. Little round face.
big eyes. So how'd you finally wind up holding him?
Oh, a day or two. It was all over as soon as I saw him.
Did the nurse bring him to you or your mom?
Oh, no, the nurse brought him. Because, you know, when they first in the hospital, they first brought him. Kind of melt you when you first see him. Brought Marlene in. Well, they brought Steve in. He had so much. David didn't have much hair. But Steve had so much hair every time they'd bring him. They'd have it part in the middle one time
Oh
and
my
on the
gosh.
side or slicked back or something. He had so much hair. And when he brought Marlene in, they had a bow in her hair. She
Wow.
had so much hair.
Well, Steve was more like the trainers, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he had long sideburns.
Oh.
He looked like a little old man when he was born. Wrinkly. I thought he was the ugliest little baby. I was so disappointed when I saw him. He really was, wasn't he?
How much did
Dan.
he weigh? Was he small?
Steve
Seven,
was
sir.
7'6",
That's
I
about
think.
right.
And David was
8.
8 something, and Marlene was 7'10", I think. But David was a little round face, and like he didn't have much hair. He had the hair showed, but it was real light.
Light. Huh.
But Marlene's hair was dark. She had a lot of hair.
Curly?
No. No,
Really?
curly.
It wasn't when she was first born.
No, it wasn't curly, and when she was about 6 weeks old or so, it all come out, and she was as bald as she could be, and then it just came in corkscrews. Just
Yeah,
all over
isn't
it,
that
like
funny?
Wyatt's was.
Well, tell the story about getting Shug. How you didn't, you didn't think you were going to have any more.
Oh,
Or could.
yeah. No, we'd given up on her. I was working for Dr. McLaughlin, and he knew that I wanted another baby, but I was having so many problems, and he said, "Well, I don't think you're ever going to get another baby. I had so many things wrong with me." And it was in the spring. I'd been working for him for a couple of years, and he said, "Well, I'll have to make the appointment because another doctor had to do the surgery."
For a hysterectomy?
Yeah, and he said, "Well, let's wait till after Easter." And he said, "If you aren't any better, well, we'll go ahead and make the appointment with Dr. What was his name?
Rich?
No, the one that died.
Oh, Pence?
Pence, Dr. Pence. He wanted to do the surgery." And I said, "Okay." And that was about a month. And the next month I was pregnant.
Wow.
So
Good thing they waited.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So when she was born, I don't know who was happier, me or Dr. McLaughlin,
Oh.
because he had told me all along it was a boy. And he said, "I'll tell you it's a boy." And, later he said, "I always tell them what they don't want, because then they aren't disappointed."
Oh.
And so he had told me it was a boy, and so then when she was born, I had to have some surgery after she was born, and he woke me up to tell me I had a girl.
Oh.
And I remember the sister was standing there giving me anesthetic, and she said, "What are you going to name that beautiful girl?" And I told her Mary, and of course she was so excited, and the sister naming it Mary. And Jerry wanted Marlene. I don't know where he'd come up with the Marlene, so we decided on Mary Marlene.
From Marlena Dietrich, wasn't it?
No.
No, it
that,
wasn't?
Our backstreet girl named Marlene.
Oh, what now?
Our backstreet girl, shoe factory.
Oh.
She's a good looking gal.
Oh. Oh, I hadn't heard that before. Well, now, how'd you come up with David's name? Do you just like the name?
Well, we lived by some people, and his name was Lee. Those Lees that lived there next to Mom and Dad over there. And
Jerry Lee?
no, Lee, what was their last name? They were different. They were, I don't know. Anyway, I come up with David Lee, James Lee, because my dad's name was James.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to, and I liked this guy that the folks lived by, and I was going to name him James Lee. And I don't know how did David Allen come in. No, it was James Allen that I liked.
Oh.
And then somewhere or other got changed to David.
Now, did you name him in the hospital then? Did you only have a girl's name picked out before he was born?
I don't think we had decided on any boy's name, had we?
I don't remember.
We had Steve's name decided, I know, before he's born.
How did you get his name?
Steve?
Her mother.
Oh, she picked it?
She picked Steven. I picked Gary.
No, I didn't go out. I was going to name him Ronnie, and my cousin had a baby just a week, about 6 weeks before, and she named him Ronnie. And so I was going to name him Ronald Steven. I was going to name.
Wow.
What, David?
What's Marlene's phone number?
728-8157.
Still same phone number. 728.
See, so did your mom stay here and help take care of the kids after Shug was born?
After Shiv was
Because you had
born,
surgery and...
I come home the second day,
Wow.
and yeah, she stayed over here quite a bit. Let's see, when was it she took all of Marlene's... I had to have surgery about 8 months after Marlene was born, and she took Marlene's bed and high chair and everything and kept her over there for a long time. Because I had a lot of surgery.
Boy, my God.
Well, she stayed here in the daytime, and of course Dad was here at night, and then one of those things off the tree.
Look at it. Whoa, look at it.
But I came home, Marlene was born on Friday, and I come home on Sunday morning,
Wow.
and I think it was probably Tuesday or Wednesday. This was the bedroom, and we had that door open, I remember.
Uh-huh.
And I looked out, and here comes Steve's whole second grade down the walk. He invited the teacher and the whole second grade down to see his baby sister.
That's sweet.
The first day I was home, I come home on Sunday, had 30 visitors. I know, I can remember I was never so tired in my life.
Oh, man.
And everybody that came, I think, brought her a dress.
Oh.
Everybody was so happy I had a girl.
It was a girl. They knew how much you wanted one.
Yeah, it was something to get a girl.
So you didn't work then from the time you left the shoe factory? When did you take in ironing and did some sitting? Was that was that before Shug or after Shug?
It was after Ship was born.
Okay.
Yeah. And when Dad got sick, he couldn't work. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I worked in the restaurant when David was born, little. Worked up here in the restaurant. And Aunt Lily kept the kids, and then I went to work for the doctor.
Oh, yeah.
I worked for him and worked for Dr. McLaughlin. I was working there when
Long
we had our
time.
centennial, 48, 49, 50. About 3 years I worked for Dr. McLaughlin.
Yeah, talk about Dad's surgery and when the Amish came with the things for Christmas and stuff. That's neat.
You were at your election day. You had your surgery. Did you
56.
56? And he was sick, and I know Harold came and carried him out the car. I think he weighed 104 pounds, didn't he?
Oh, my gosh.
Harold picked him up and carried him out the car, and they took him into the hospital.
The surgery wasn't planned then. It was, you got bad enough that they...
Yeah, they had
He was
plans.
just,
I mean,
Oh, did they?
he was so sick he couldn't do nothing. He couldn't eat nothing. He couldn't be up. Anyway, they took him in and did the surgery, and
how much did... remove-
80% of his stomach.
they was thin when we got him.
I wouldn't give a nickel for him next day or two. Well, Warren was over to see him. I don't know what day it was. Well, I guess it was election day. It must have been on Tuesday, wasn't it? Warren was there on Sunday. And I know Warren called me out and he said, "You think he's going to live?" I said, "Well, they say he's all right." But Warren didn't think so.
2 more days I sat out in the
Yeah, 2 more days. he
They
was
only
all
gave you
right.
50-50 going into it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Wow. And that was November of what year?
56.
56. And there just wasn't any jobs. I looked everywhere for a job. I went down to Sullivan, put my application in every place, and I looked and couldn't find a job, so I took in ironings. You remember when they did all those ironings the other days? Sometimes I'd have 5 and 6 stacked up here to do at a head. Iron day and night, babysit, whatever there was I could do.
I remember when Dad was sick, I was, what, 9? Almost 10. Marlene was 4.
No, she wasn't very big. Remember what she sang on the way home?
Yeah, we had to stay over at Aunt Hilda's all the time. Dad was over in the
Little
hospital.
apartment.
Indicator?
Yeah, and she lived in like Fairview Homes.
Oh, okay.
Those little brick apartment things,
Yeah.
and I hated that place. Didn't care much for Aunt Hilda at that time anyway, because Norma was there, and I wasn't ever so happy to get home in my whole life. I don't think.
What'd she sing?
All the way home. She sang "I'll sing song" all the way home.
I'm home, I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah, that's all she sang all the way home.
She was so happy to get home.
Oh, cute.
She knew she was on her way. She was happy.
So is that the Christmas that the Amish brought the gifts then?
Yeah, that was in November, and the township supervisor had turned our name in. The Amish always ask for needy people in the community, and they give different things. And the township supervisor had given them our name, and they pulled up out here one night in my van. How many of them do you suppose there were? 25, 30 or more? And they brought everything. Well, we just had these 4 rooms in. They came in, our kitchen was where it is, and they piled the kitchen full and the floor all around it, and they had gifts for all the kids. They had a homemade shirts for the boys and a homemade dress for Marlene. And, apples and meat and flour and sugar and popcorn and everything. And when they got ready to leave, I know the lady asked if our children had vitamins. And I said, well, no, they didn't, because we couldn't afford to buy them any. And they said, well, they bought their vitamins by the year, and they would be glad to bring our children a supply of vitamins for the rest of the winter. And it was really quite a thing. And I know the next year I was working, and would it have been the next year?
Where were you working?
Let's see, that would have been 57. I don't know where I was working. Anyway, I know I sent them a check and told them that how appreciative we were, what they did for us, and I wish they'd do the same thing for somebody else.
Oh, how nice.
And it really means a lot.
Wow. How long was Dad in the hospital then, after the surgery?
Not too long.
Really?
A couple of weeks.
Wow.
And
The surgeon said I've done better than anybody ever operated on.
Wow.
I remember you coming home and you drink about that much milk. That'd be it.
Cream.
You'd be full.
Half and half.
Oh, I was afterward, I did.
That before?
Well, that's before, yeah. Well,
But, you know,
afterwards you couldn't eat a
I
cream.
mean, stomach was so small,
Yeah.
1 ounce of milk would be like eating a
Full meal, huh?
full course meal.
Increase it every day and stretch it out.
Is that right?
It's on about half big now, it's ordinary stuff. So 2 years ago when I took an x-ray over there, that nurse was taking, I said, is it stomach full size? She said, no, it's about half size.
Gosh, that's amazing. It stretched that much, though.
Mm,
I didn't have to eat so.
Sure.
And it's practically straight shoot there, isn't it? A curve there hardly.
Did
Took all
they,
that bottom half gone.
did they take out any of the small intestine?
I took some.
Well, see, your stomach goes down like this, and then it goes around
That's
through your
right.
digestive system, and his just goes straight down and
They
out.
cut it off and put
They
me up over
blocked
here.
all this off because there was another ulcer over there, and they didn't want to take all that out, so they just blocked it off.
My goodness.
I know one thing it told me when I had that X-rays done, that my stomach lays flatter than most of those. You know, the esophagus comes down here, it kind of goes like that. It kind of sits up like that. So mine lays flatter. than most.
Is there anything else you can think of you wanna?
Let's shut it off for a minute.
Sure.
You guys been talking for. Now, the culmination of this story, you see it, 1/3 of it, at least anyway. These are my children. Kira, Beth.
Actually, it's half of the grandkids represented by a third of
Yes.
of their
big,
kids.
Big ugly one in the back is Trent.
Right.
There he is. Todd. And where's the grand dog? Call the dog.
There he is.
Todd.
Fritzl, come here. Fritzl.
He didn't want Fritzl, didn't want
Fritzl.
Trey
Fritzl.
got hurts.
Fritzl. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come here.
You have to come over there too.
Go on.
Come on. Move.
And that's my wife, Nancy. And there's Fritzl. We got Fritzl in it.
Now your turn.
They're wanting to get together, the puppies.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
A to B.
Yes.
That's my baby. Here.
The little boy you didn't want.
Yeah, my little Phyllis.
Aren't we all glad he wasn't Phyllis?